We're not going to go over this article today, but I think it is worth bringing up and sort of more sort of doing my response. But if you want to go read this article, it is in the Guardian today. It's one of the opinion pieces out there that they've done very recently about this by an Irish journalist that is sort of currently sort of situated in London. And so the title of the article is "Why Are Ireland's Anti-Refugees Protests Erupting Now? Just look across the Irish Sea." So many of you may remember who are sort of part of this channel before, may remember not too long ago, I was in Belfast. And a couple of the people I spoke to in Belfast, I was sort of talking about what would be the possibility, if Ireland were to sort of reunify, how would sort of the Republic have to deal with all these unionists? Because they have a quite big potential to cause quite a lot of ruckus in the Irish Parliament. And I was quite shocked by the fact that they either didn't seem to either know or even realize that. And one of them said to me was, "Oh, that'll be fine because we in Ireland don't vote for far right parties." And this is where the infamous phrase now gets uttered of the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And I can see very similar sentiments being echoed in a lot of other countries who feel that, oh, the far right could never ever have a stranglehold here. They could never have any influence on parties or anything like that. That's exactly what a couple of people were saying about conservatives a few years ago before they got sort of infiltrated by the UKIP sort of exodus from the UKIP party back into the sort of conservative fold. And we've seen the repercussions of that, of these conservative party members voting for ever further right MPs being elected into party. Look at sort of Lee Anderson as a prime example. So really be careful about this. And I really do give this warning to sort of anyone who's out in Ireland. And I know Ireland itself is facing a lot of issues. I mean, I talk about, do a couple of videos every so often about the housing crisis over here. But I know the housing crisis you guys have got over there in Ireland. My word, that's a mess. That is an absolute complete mess. I mean, when you have to before you even think about buying a house, potentially participate in a lottery to see if you get lucky enough to have the opportunity to be able to do that, then yeah, you've got a big problem, a massive, massive problem over there with your housing issues. Not only that, of course, just as with every other country, you've had to deal with austerity politics as well. And this is what is now seems to be a very, very potent mix and cocktail of anti-immigrant rhetoric mixing with that, combining with those problems, saying, you don't understand, we need to be putting Irish people first. And that should sound very familiar because it's the exact same rhetoric we've been seeing in America. It's the exact same rhetoric we've been seeing here in the UK since the Brexit vote. So remember, as I always say, don't think it can't happen there. Never ever think that, because if you think that, then you allow these elements very, very much to sort of take root. And Sinn Féin at the moment may be enjoying a very large boost in popularity, but remember there is a far right party in Ireland. What are they called? Fingard, I think. Hopefully I've sort of pronounced it right, but I think that's what it says. But I think it basically translates to Ireland first. Do not underestimate the fact that they could take advantage of any failures in Sinn Féin policy, decision making, or anything like that to rustle up and maybe have potentially quite big impacts on the next election in Ireland. That is entirely possible. it is not beyond the realms of possibility that that is the case. And I know there's going to be a couple of people from Ireland saying, "Oh, that'll be impossible. That'll never happen here." But that attitude is why you see at the moment very large anti-immigrant protests popping up all over Ireland. And it is a mix of this right-wing populism that is sort of very quickly sort of seeping in. And it's not just, it's not just happening there, it's happening to a lot of other countries as well. So you're not alone in this, but you have to be prepared to sort of fight and push back against this, because you've also got to be careful. As we warned, it's sort of a couple of months back, there's a lot of dark money filtering in from Christian groups from America into places like Ireland and other countries in Europe to try and sort of fund an anti-abortion push, because while they've overturned sort of Roe v. Wade in America, they don't want people in America looking over to Europe and saying, well, actually, people having access to abortion is probably a good thing. They are trying to now overturn or at least even tighten abortion rules, not only in places like Ireland, but elsewhere. So be careful of that. Be extremely careful of these people, and always be sort of looking at how you can unite with other people on the left. And I do not say this lightly, that it is one of the biggest challenges of the left to really sort of put up policies against this. And we have policies to do this, but unfortunately, there's the left, it has a lot of problems, especially when it comes down to sort of election times. Very often being unable to sort of express those policies in sort of good and concise and succinct ways, which unfortunately has led to the belief that the left has sort of nothing to offer, which is not true. We absolutely do. Unfortunately, we absolutely do. But that's a wider problem. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. But yes, like I say, do be extremely careful, and do not take it for granted that there will never ever be this far right, influence on Irish politics. There has every potential to be one, and if you sleepwalk into it, then you may walk into a general election and be shocked. Where did all these far right politicians came from? That's a situation you do not want to find yourself in. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a notification link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.